Set in the city of Baltimore, the movie begins with a 17-year-old youth named Stro whose greatest passion in life is motorcycles. Whether he is sad or happy, Stro will always want to go out on his motorcycle. His happy place is on wheels. The young man shares this passion with the Midnight Clique, a community of contemporary motorcyclists who dominate the streets of Baltimore. Over time, Stro spreads this enthusiasm to Mouse, his younger brother, who already wants to ride a motorcycle, even though he cannot even reach the pedals. The little one exclaims that when he grows up, he wants to be like his brother, to which he responds that he will be much better. All the videos we were watching were memories of someone who is no longer here. Stro died 5 years ago in an accident. Mouse, now 14 years old, watches Stro's videos on the bus and gets so distracted that he has to run to his destination. Following in his brother's footsteps, the protagonist buys a quad with his savings. When the salesman asks him how he plans to take it, he calmly responds that he will drive it home. Police will never be able to catch him.
You got 5 minutes. He doesn't show up, I'm taking you in.
Loose lips sink ships. It is lucky that he has Rivers, a police detective who has known him since he was little and who always gets him out of these jams. It is not like he likes it, of course. Therefore, Rivers offers himself as his mentor in case he needs one, although Mouse does not want a replacement for his brother. Back home, the youth is greeted reluctantly by his mother Terry since because of him, she is running late for work. As soon as he enters, Mouse goes out to watch a street motorcycle race. His mother brings him back to reality, demanding that he stop fantasizing about motorcycles to focus on his younger sister. After a while, the protagonist is approached by his best friends, Lamont and Sweet, whose real name is Swear to God, but there is no way to pronounce that, so we will call him like the one from San Andreas. His friends invite him to meet their new neighbor, so Mouse gets ready to go out. That means he will leave his sister Shay alone, and she is no fool. Her silence has a price. Finally, the three friends meet Nikki, a newcomer who is a photography lover. Since the boys pose for a photo, Mouse tells her that she must return the favor by going with them to the rodeo, a street event where the locals show off their two-wheeled skills. In private, Sweet accuses Mouse of being a liar, since he talks about the rodeo as if he had been to one, when the reality is that they have never been allowed to go. Well, this year his mother works at night, so he has no chains holding him back. Until now, Mouse seems like a real gem, cursed, but he is responsible when he has to be. He works at the local veterinary hospital, and when he is not assisting the veterinarian, he is playing veterinarian in his own home, helping his cat give birth. He spends his free time watching the videos of his late brother, wishing to have him back, even if just for a minute. When the day of the rodeo arrives, Terry leaves orders for Shay to call her if Mouse goes out tonight. That is to say, more money for the girl. With his humble quad, the protagonist shows up at the rodeo pre-show, where there is already a bunch of people doing stunts, some on motorcycles, others on bikes on a single wheel. Upon meeting his friends, they challenge him to make his debut at the rodeo to see if he is that brave. He did not mean it seriously, but Mouse launches into the street with his quad anyway, ready to take everyone by surprise. It could have been worse. Besides, Nikki takes a picture of him. The only thing that makes Mouse take his eyes off the girl is the Midnight Clique, a legendary motorcycle gang to which his brother belonged. This rodeo is special for the club, given that one of its best members, Blax, has just been released from prison. Blax cannot help but look at Mouse as he reminds him a lot of Stro. The event falls apart with the arrival of Detective Rivers and the police, so those present have no choice but to take off. That is for mortals, because the Midnight Clique provokes the police and forces them to chase them. Rivers is the only one who manages to keep up with them, although he receives orders to stop. Back with Mouse, he tells his friends that he plans to join the Midnight Clique, and he does not care about his young age, since Stro was barely a little older when he joined. His friends have doubts about everything else, although Mouse wants to make this summer a memorable one, and he does not plan to do it alone. Unfortunately, his first attempt to join the Midnight Clique is a resounding failure, since Mouse's dilapidated quad is even worse than the bikes of his colleagues. While he struggles to start his quad, the protagonist is approached by Blax himself, who has been working in a nearby workshop since he got out of prison. Since the quad has seen better days, Blax shows him the motorcycles in his workshop, and the young man knows the names of them all. Since he is so cultured, Blax deduces that he must know that he does not need to buy a motorcycle when he can build one. Over the next few days, Mouse, Lamont, and Sweet begin to assemble their motorcycles following Blax's instructions, although, to tell the truth, the protagonist is the only one who does his homework. In other matters, the youth stops by Nikki's house to show her his cat. When she asks him for his real name, he introduces himself as Miles, although he has been known as Mouse since he hid a poor little mouse from his mother's fury. It seems that Story is going to earn him a kiss, but Nicky's grandmother ruins the moment. In the workshop, Mouse fantasizes about showing off his new motorcycle on the streets. Blax stops him at that point, explaining that motorcycling is not about showing off, but about being free. That moment, the man receives a visit from a gang member friend of his who comments that the real money is out there. Blax rejects the offer, making it clear that he is legal now. Another day, Mouse gives Blax a bottle of pills for his dog Sophie, whose age is already starting to take its toll. Blax then commits to taking care of the only being that did not abandon him. In good times everyone loves you, but in bad times everyone disappears. You have to choose your friends well, and I wish Stro had learned that lesson in time. Shortly after, Detective Rivers comes looking for Mouse and scolds him for lying to his mother, since she believes he is working at the veterinary hospital while they think he is at home on bed rest. Rivers demands that he go back to work since idleness is a direct path to delinquency. Mouse keeps his work at the workshop hidden, and speaking of which, Blax gives him his first assignment, to deliver a newly restored motorcycle to a client on the other side of the city. Far from that, the protagonist takes the opportunity to show off before his lazy friends and invite Nicky for a ride. Mouse gives her Stroh's helmet, confessing that it is one of the few things of his brother that his mother allowed him to keep. Any memory of him is very painful at home. In an attempt to cheer him up, Nicky teaches him how to use the camera and promises him that one day she will take him to see the sea. It will not be soon because she is leaving in a month, although they can take advantage of these days for other things. Patience, dear friend, patience. At that moment, the youth is approached by Derek, a local who wants to test his motorcycle. Even though it is borrowed, Mouse lets him take it for a spin because he was his brother's friend. That is more than a spin. When he tells his friends about his grave mistake, they warn him that Derek is dedicated to stripping motorcycles for parts, so he had better start saying goodbye to the one he lent him. Since Mouse does not want to tell Blax anything, Lamont and Sweet take him to Derek's workshop so he can recover what is his.
Shit. You heard what the fuck I said? Fucking chill, yo. Ain't no fucking way for
It is lucky that the Midnight Clique appears at that moment. Blax warns Derek that if he touches his property again, he will pay for it with his life. Having said that, Blax turns around, even though his companions wanted him to punish Derek with a beating.
Thanks, Blax, man.
Well, we have a volunteer. While the young man vents, the motorcyclists just watch until they consider it enough. Upon his return to the workshop, Mouse is scolded for almost having lost the motorcycle. As punishment, Blax orders him to work harder, and if he does it well, he might consider continuing to build his motorcycle. At home, things are not better for the protagonist, given that his mother is struggling with the bills. Furthermore, she just discovered that he is missing his work.
Don't give up on your dreams, Mouse, because they don't get no easier to hold on to.
Due to the situation at home, Mouse asks Blax to put him on the payroll, pointing out that he quit his real job to help him in the workshop. Unfortunately, he cannot afford the luxury of hiring anyone at the moment. Frustrated, the protagonist goes to the Midnight Clique, who have adopted Lamont and Sweet after what happened with Derek. On the streets, the protagonist is caught by Rivers and he starts to interrogate him as always. Fed up with this, the boy makes it clear to him that he does not need a father figure, much less a police officer. Night falls, and Mouse and his friends start working for the Midnight Clique by dealing drugs around the city. They know that what they are doing is wrong, although the pay is so generous that their morality ceases to exist. Now that he is rich and famous, Mouse has no time for Nicky. As soon as she hands him the photo she took of him, the young man leaves with another girl. One bad day, Terry discovers her son's stash of money, and he has no choice but to tell her the truth. Disappointed, his mother slaps him and kicks him out of the house, because after all, he is now a man who can take care of himself. On the other hand, Detective Rivers stops by Blax's workshop and asks him nicely to stay away from Mouse, since he was the reason why Stro died in the first place. Of course, Mouse does not know that detail. Returning to the young man, he moves into Sweet's house and together with his friends, complains that the Midnight Clique will not take them seriously until they do something big on their own. Lamont then points out the store they always visit, saying they could easily rob it because the owners are an elderly Chinese couple. When they ask the Midnight Clique for a gun, Blax sees the scene and demands that the gang members leave Mouse out of this. The Midnight Clique refuses, since the young man is as skilled a dealer as Stro was. With no other option, Blax calls the protagonist to the workshop to confront him, although the boy notices that his dog is dying. At the vet, they tell him that surgery is possible, but it would be too much torture for such an old animal. Dejected, Blax agrees to put her to sleep on the condition that it is Mouse who does it. After Sophie's death, Blax confesses to the young man that when he said Stroh got mixed up with the wrong crowd, he was referring to himself. Since Stroh was short on money, Blax sent him on a drug delivery, a delivery from which he never returned. Even though Blax does not want to make the same mistake with Mouse, the boy does not even want to listen to him out of indignation. During the preparations for the heist, the protagonist reminds his friends that the gun was given to him and he does not plan to pull the trigger. However, Lamont takes the weapon from him and sets off, forcing the boys to follow him. At the store, things go wrong quickly. Lamont accidentally shoots the ceiling, causing the Chinese woman to defend herself with her own weapon. Sweet pays the consequences. During the escape, Lamont turns to the Midnight Clique while Mouse hides in Blax's workshop. While he thinks of a solution, Blax asks him not to waste his second chance, something the young man does not understand. Upon Detective Rivers' arrival, Mouse is wearing the workshop uniform, so Blax points out that he was here the whole time. Then, Blax turns himself in for the store robbery. Even knowing it is a lie, Rivers arrests him for Mouse's sake. This is his second chance. Back home, the protagonist breaks down in tears in his mother's arms, regretful of everything he did. 1 year later, we see a reformed Mouse working at the veterinary hospital. During the ride home, he finds the photo that Nikki took of him in his wallet, so he sends her a message to apologize for how he treated her. She accepts his apologies and shows him that she is at the beach. They could very well go together next summer. On the way, Mouse runs into Lamont, but without Sweet, it is not the same. The protagonist simply asks him to take care of himself out there. Once at home, Mouse surprises his mother with his groceries, in which it is also revealed that he adopted a dog, giving it a second chance as well. Since you have made it this far, why don't you click on this other video? I assure you that you are going to love it.